31st of 2023. Last time I'm going to say this, our theme for this year is living out loud. And the focus for the month of December has been living as wholeness. The title of our talk today is perfectly timed as always. It's a wholeness resolution. You might be thinking about resolutions today. So we have a message for you, and we also have something called our burning bowl ceremony, and I'll tell you some more about that in just a moment. So our message today will be given by our wonderful spiritual director, Charlene Banks. Oh, we're so glad that you took some time today to join us. Please feel free to add to the chat or in the comments any prayer concerns that you're carrying on your heart, any celebrations that you'd like to share with us, and we will be sure to include them later in our service when we do our spiritual mind treatment, which is a form of affirmative prayer. Now, back to that burning bowl ceremony. So in just a moment, we're going to start our welcoming video, which odds are you've seen before, but we're providing this as we always do to kick off our service, but it also allows you some time to gather some things that you might want to have with you when we get to the part of our service today when we do our burning bowl ceremony. So I'm going to hold up the visuals that I have. I've done this before, so I knew. I have a candle, or you might want to have a match or something that you can light. You're going to need a little slip of paper, not too big, just something little, a pen. You're going to write something on this. And here's the key part. You need a bowl, and trust me, there's some water in here. So it's filled with water. So we want you to be safe as you join us in our burning bowl ceremony. You're going to be lighting this little slip of paper on fire, but we want you to be able to extinguish it in your bowl of water. So as you sit back, maybe you have all these things, maybe you've done this before. As you listen to our welcoming video, you can gather up these things. So for the burning bowl ceremony, you're going to want to have a candle, a match, something to light, a little slip of paper. You're going to be writing on that. And you want to have a bowl of water. So something with water handy. So you can gather those things. If you knew what was coming today, because you've heard us talking about it, and maybe you've done this with us before, maybe you already have these, and you just sit back and enjoy and relax. But if you don't, and you want to participate in the burning bowl ceremony, gather up these items. A candle, a match, something to light, little slip of paper, and then a bowl of water. All right, that's the instructions for today. Like I said, welcome. We're so glad that you're spending this last day of 2023 with us. Here is our official opening video. Please join us as we create our sacred space. We set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of our 5 pillars of spiritual living by lighting this candle in our virtual world. Our first pillar is sacred study, represented by the divine quality of truth. We use this pillar to recognize the importance of an open mind and the power of our minds. The second pillar is affirmative prayer, represented by the divine quality power. This pillar honors the power of prayer in our daily lives. Our third pillar is meditation and the divine quality of peace. This pillar reminds us of the importance of meditation and the peace we feel when we quiet our minds. The fourth pillar is circulation and the divine quality of life. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the fifth pillar is sacred service and the divine quality of love. This pillar affirms our call to be of service to our world as we see through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes as we bless this sacred space and our time together. As we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today, May they deepen our own spiritual practices of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and our hearts to the 5 divine qualities of truth, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible today and everyone in attendance. May the energy of love that is generated here bless everyone abundantly. And so it is. And so it is. So I picked out something special today, knowing the title of our talk, A Wholeness Resolution, and also thinking about how it's the end of the year. So this is a choir singing a special mantra. It's Om So Hum. And this mantra helps one connect with their true nature. It is believed that it helps to bring inner peace and spiritual enlightenment. So it's Om So Hum, and the translation of that is I am that absolute reality. So here we go. I don't know about you, but that works. So I found this, it's on YouTube, Om So Hum, and this is something that you can listen to anytime that you need to connect, ground yourself, find your inner peace. And now I turn things back over to Charlene, Leah, Soul Pajamas, whoever's next.
It's Leah, hold on.
It's Leah.
Oh, and then hold on, let me ask her to unmute herself because I did remove the ability. There we go. Actually, let me pop in really quick.
There she is. She's back.
I just wanted to pop in and say, if you just joined us, please grab your bowl of water, a piece of paper, and a fire source. Go ahead, Leah.
Thank you. This is a song about this time of year and the darkness that we experience, as well as the beauty of the darkness, the mysterious source of all of our being. What we seed in the dark grows. What we seed in the dark grows. What we seed in the dark grows and grows. How no one knows what we seed in the dark grows. What we seed in the dark grows. What we seed in the dark grows and grows. How no one knows what we seed in the darkness. Hold me, I surrender. What we seed in the darkness. Hold me. How no one knows what we seed in the darkness. Hold me, I surrender. Darkness, mold me. How no one knows what we seed in the darkness. What we seed in the dark grows. What we seed in the dark grows and grows. How no one knows what we seed in the darkness. What we seed in the darkness. What we seed in the darkness. No one knows what we seed in the darkness. What we seed in the darkness. What we seed in the darkness. No one knows in the darkness. What we seed in the dark grows. What we seed in the dark grows and grows. No one knows what we seed in the dark grows. What we seed in the dark grows. What we seed in the dark grows and grows. How no one knows.
Amazing. Okay, that was wow. I love that song. Now, Leah, did you make that up? Is that you? Is that a person? Because that's amazing. Yes. Okay, listen. The thing about that song, we don't know. The seed is growing in the dark. We have no idea how it does what it does. But it does that thing that it does because it is divinely inspired by mystery. And the thing about today is that we've become so disenchanted with everything. And we become so skeptical about everything. And we become, as a society, a little bit sarcastic and not just agnostic, but almost anti mystery. But there's something about being in that mystery of life, in that feeling of, I don't know how this works, but I know it's working. And I haven't seen it come forth yet, but I know it's on its way. That sense of delight that we have in the ineffable. It's the reason we come together in these groups. It's the reason we come together. And even though we're science is just now starting to say what the mystics have said over eons about oneness and quantum and what's in the very tiny is in the big, and how we're all connected. We all just know things. It's now coming. Oh, and here's how that experience produces itself. Do we really know, though? Do we really know? And it's okay not to know him. This is the last day of the year, the last day. And I'm so excited to talk to you on this day because I know that life is an ever evolving, moment by moment experience where there is no beginning and there is no end. It is an ever occurring now. However, there's such a thing as a revolution. And it's funny because did you notice on the introduction PowerPoint slide? I don't know if it was a typo or if it was an on purpose thing, but it said revolution in the place of the word resolution. I know, it's crazy. It does. I could reshare. I'll show you. It's crazy. And I thought, hold up. So the PowerPoint slides say revolution, but in all of our notes that we all have, it says a wholeness resolution. And then I realized, oh my gosh, revolution. How do we count the year? 365 days is one what? Revolution around the sun. So, wow, what an auspicious mix up or question mark is it? Where we make our New Year's resolution because there's been another revolution around the sun. And for me, since my birthday falls in the month of December, I tend to do a little more resolution stuff on my birthday than I do on the New Year. But there's something about December 31st because it is the final day of a year that I don't know about you, but if you look back on this current year, you may have a mixed set of emotions. There were some things that were really great, and there were some things that were pretty bad. And yet, that's life, isn't it? That's life going through its revolution. Today's another auspicious day. For 27 years ago, I think we counted, Leah and I had to figure out, is my son 27 or is he 26 today? What a 28? I don't know. COVID messed up my sense of all time. But so I was giving birth to this tiny little baby that many years ago. And I just look at it all, and it's just such a nice way to just button up things. So I want to talk to you about buttoning up stuff. And I'll start with a story. But do know this story is leading up to something, and I want you to be prepared for it. So grab a piece of paper. Now, when Tamara did her little thing, her piece of paper was tiny. I'm going to need a little more room. Listen, I got things that I'm going to be writing down so I can put it on fire and drop it in the bowl of water so that the alarm doesn't go off and we don't have that kind of morning. And then we're going to start talking about where we're going from here. What can we release in order to make room for what we want to experience in our life? So that is what's happening today. And we're going to have it's going to be a collaboration. There'll be Tamara who will walk us through how to let go, and she'll help us visualize things and help us burn the piece of paper and everything. And then while she's doing that, Leah's going to play a little background music. We're going to give ourselves a good 3 minutes or so. And then I'm going to come in and talk about where we're going, and I'll guide you through visioning for your future. Yes, all done in about 20 minutes, 5 of which have already passed. I want to start with a story, though. And this story is so emblematic of what we experience and what we can experience. And it's all told through the eyes of a beautiful whale. Yes, for if you were around back in 2005, I'm looking for my story so I don't mess up the details. If you were around in San Francisco at around 2005, on the coast, there was a female humpback whale. You may remember this story. She had become entangled in a web of crab traps and lines to the degree that she was weighed down, this 50-foot whale, weighed down by hundreds of pounds of traps. And that these traps caused her to struggle to stay afloat. And if you're a whale and you got to struggle to stay afloat, that's a problem. So she also had hundreds of yards of rope line wrapped around her tail, around her torso, and a line that was tugging in her mouth. This being was meant to be free, yet is now in all kinds of ways bound up by all of these debris in the ocean. So there she was. A fisherman spotted her. He radioed to an environmental group for help. Within a few hours, the rescue team arrived and determined that she was so bad off, the only way to save her would be to dive in and untangle her. And I'm sure they said, okay, say what now? We got to dive in. That's dangerous. One whip of her tail could knock us out and kill us, but I guess that's what we're doing. Let's go. And I'm sure they didn't even have to pause for more than a moment to realize in their humanity, let's go. We can help. Let's go. So they dove in. They worked for hours with curved knives, and they eventually freed her. When she was free, the divers say she swam in what seemed to be joyous circles. Then she came back to each and every diver, one at a time, and nudged them. Nudge them in thanks, pushing them gently around, knowing her strength, knowing just how much pressure Nudge. Thank you. Thank you. Some of them said it was the most incredibly beautiful experience of their entire lives. Now, listen to this. The guy who cut the rope out of her mouth says that her eye was following him the whole time, just watching him as he worked. He said he will never be the same. Never be the same. This being just watching, they were in communion as he worked to get her free. So may you and all those you love be so blessed and so fortunate during this coming year that you will be surrounded by people who are going to dive in there and help cut these circumstances, help cut through whatever seems to be binding you and getting you untangled, helping you. None of us can do this alone. Helping you get untangled from those things that keep us down, keep us from floating freely. And may you always know the joy of giving and receiving this kind of gratitude. So as you contemplate that story, I'd love to toss this over to Tamara. She's going to walk you through thinking about what ties bind you. What could you use help releasing? So Tamara, and then as you introduce this, go ahead, I'll replace the spotlight. As soon as you drop into, as soon as you give us our 3 minutes, I'll go ahead and make Leah the one, and I'll show a burning bowl. So go ahead and talk us through how do we release?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for that story. I remember that whale, and I remember how that whale just thanked the people who gave it its freedom again, who released it. Such a beautiful story when animals and humans connect, when humans connect in a way that assists and recognizes that we're all travelers on this beautiful, beautiful blue and green marble floating in space. So today is a very, very special day. You might have heard about this already. People are talking about it on the news, on social media. But today is December 31, 2023. And if you write out the date, it's 12/31/23. And if you look at that all written together, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Did you know that? So when I hear 1, 2, 3, the word that pops up in my head is go. There's always like a countdown when you're in a race. 1, 2, 3, go, right? So I thought that kind of ties in with what we're going to do today with this burning bowl ceremony. So we're saying goodbye to an old year. And 1, 2, 3, we're leaping into this brand new year, 2024. Life is an adventure. It's a journey. And we're travelers, just like all the beings on this planet, the animals, the plants, and all of our fellow human beings. And when you're a traveler, if you're like me, I think you make very careful choices. This is something everybody does when they're traveling and they're packing. And you're very methodical because space is limited, right? What am I going to put in my suitcase or in my backpack or my satchel? What is essential? What do I need with me for this adventure, this journey that I'm taking? And what do? We make such careful choices and we don't take everything. Sometimes I have a tendency to overpack, right? But I'm limited with my space. So I have to make very, very careful choices. And there are many, many things that I leave behind. They're not going to serve me on this new adventure that I'm taking, this new trip, this new journey. So that's the image that I want you to hold in your mind as you listen to the music and as you have your piece of paper. There's something that you've been carrying. There's something that's been weighing you down. Picture something in your backpack that is no longer needed and you've been carrying it around. And why am I still carrying this? I've been hanging on to this. But for my new adventure, when we say 1, 2, 3, go, and we leap into this new year, I don't need this anymore. It's not essential in my life. It's weighing me down. And as we play the music, that's what I want you to think about. And this is what you're going to write on your piece of paper. What is no longer essential? What have you been carrying in your metaphoric backpack suitcase? What has been that nagging little thought that keeps coming back, and you're saying, no, 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 no. You're like my VHS tapes. You're like, you just go away. I don't need you anymore. You're those pants that are no longer in style or that I've outgrown. I don't need to have you in my life anymore. So that's what you're going to be writing down on your paper. What is it that you're going to release and let go and say, no, no, you're no longer essential. You're no longer something that I need to carry with me into this new year as I start this new adventure. So we're going to hear some music. We're giving you about 3 minutes to kind of go within, think about what you're carrying, and what is it that no longer serves you that you want to release. All right. All right. So do you have that on your slip of paper? Mine is small. I'm very concerned about fire hazards. And Charlene, I think, has a much bigger slip of paper. But what you want to do now is just finish that last thought if you need to, that final word. And you have this on your slip of paper. And we're going to take this and we're going to put the slip of paper very carefully into the flames. A lot as we watch it burn, we realize that we're just releasing. This is something I've been carrying that no longer serves me. And I'm just releasing it back into the nothingness from which it came. And we have our bowl of water so that we can quickly extinguish this because, like I said, safety first, that's really important. So take your paper, however you're going to ignite it, and I'm watching this burn, and it goes into the water. And there really is feeling the release. It's amazing. It's amazing. There's something to this. It releases and it is gone. And just like that unnecessary item that doesn't need to go into your suitcase, you're going to go forward into the new year and you just feel lighter because you're not being dragged down by that heavy, heavy backpack, that heavy suitcase filled with unnecessary items. So
Absolutely.
1, 2, 3, go. Charlene, tell
I
us
love
how
that.
go into this new year.
I love that. 1, 2, 3, go into the new year. Thank you, Tamara. I do appreciate that. You did such a great job. And I like the way you framed that because we are all on a journey. This is an amazing journey that we're on together. And to have things that weigh you down that no longer serve you, why are we doing that? And I love that as I lit my huge piece of paper and watched it go up in smoke. And I prayed a little bit that my smoke alarm wouldn't get all excited about that. We're okay. I just imagine that the energy that's inside those words that represent the situation, that the smoke is transmuting that. It's just taking that, whatever my energy was, that was wrapped around that scenario, those things I'd love to let go of. Now I have freed up energy to point in another direction, that smoke carried all the worry, whatever fear, whatever doubt, just carried it into the nothingness, as Tamara mentioned, from whence it came. And so with this new idea of, well, now what? We've created a space in ourselves, a space for what? For what it is that we would like to experience. And I love this teaching because we're always encouraged to think about, well, what is it that you do want? Anybody who's come to these services more than a couple times, you've heard me or Tamara or Leah or the Soul Pajamas, so somebody's going to have a message about letting go and focusing on what we do want. Because that's where we get our power. That's where our power is experienced, in our ability to dream it, to think of it, to envision what we want, and then go about the business of making it so. Brad Paisley has a supporting quote for us, and he says, "Tomorrow is the first blank page of a 365-page book. Write a good one." I love that. But Ellen Goodman also says, well, what about this though? We spend January 1st walking through our lives, room by room, drawing up a list of work to be done. Cracks here need to be patched, holes there need to be filled. This year though, let's walk through the rooms of our lives, not looking for flaws, but looking for potential. It's a little different way to spin it, isn't it? Because as I'm this and I really have to work out, or whatever it is you're going to tell yourself you have to do, let us change that to, what do I get to do? What do I get to experience? What potential is held here? What kind of potential do I have? And I think it'll help reframe some of these resolutions that we have. Because we're walking into a year of something that has never been before. If we pay and if we bring our wholeness to this moment, we can create something that has not been here before. This is a choice. As we humans, we create in the image and likeness of the divine itself. That's how we are creative. And what we do, as Ernest Holmes talks about, we are practitioners. And I'm not talking about the licensed practitioners that go to all these years of training. I'm talking about every one of us who studies or even wants to be in the useful practice of science of mind principles. Each of us are a practitioner, if you think of it that way. He says, Ernest Holmes says, a spiritual practitioner consciously removes the apparent obstruction and leaves the field open to a new influx of spirit. She resolves things into thoughts, dissolves the negative appearance in the condition by recognizing only perfection. The practitioner must know that there are no obstacles in the pathway of truth, with a capital T. No obstacles exist equal to the truth with a capital T. Just take that in for a second. No obstacles. Wow. And now, really, because we must know that our word, being the activity of the truth, removes all obstructions, because our word is always higher than that which is appearing before us. This is Ernest Holmes talking about how once we use these principles, once we know the truth about who we really are and we get our mind set on that, then there is nothing equal to that. There is no principle equal. There's nothing higher than truth. Or change it. There's nothing higher than love. Take any aspect of the divine, and that is the highest vibration that we also have access to. So can't it be true that this coming year, we have in front of us the ability to live an entirely new life? And I'm not just using that all tongue-in-cheek, yeah, new year, new you. No, what if it were real? All we would need to do is lead with our intention, which is our connection to the divine with a capital T, and seeing all the conditions through the eyes of truth, through the eyes of love, through higher vision. And that's all we have to know. We don't know how. We don't have to know how. As Leah sang in the very first song, we don't have to know how the seed does what it does when we plant it in the soil. We just know that the seed does what it does when we plant it in the soil. That is the truth with the capital T. Our job is to make sure that that seed has ideal conditions. We remove obstacles like weeds if we need to do that. If we focus on making sure that that truth is not negated by any of our actions or by fears or beliefs that are negative or any sort of self-limiting things that we just burned on the piece of paper. Clearing that out of the way, we have now access to 100% unfettered spirit. We have access to that whale that is unfettered by all of those chains and all of those ropes and all of that fishing line. We are that freedom if only we choose to accept it. And so our job is simply to just move into that knowingness that we're whole already. And how can we experience that? So now I'll give you another couple minutes and then we'll close. What I want to do is go back into the music assisted writing. And this time I want you to put your focus on moving forward. So we're talking about, if you're a little shy at the beginning of something and you don't want to be magnificent, let's step into magnificence now. Let's not wait. Now is the time. You're doing little small stuff to play small because you want to blend in. We stop that now. And we carry out our resolve to move forward into this new year. And we're going to know love and poise and power, because that same being that created the cosmos created us. So all we've got to do is allow ourselves to imagine just pick 3 things. What 3 ways are we going to be showing up in this new year? Are we going to be a blessing wherever we are? Are we going to be the embodiment of love wherever we go? Are we going to look for the good in our fellow human no matter what? I'll give you some time and we'll go back. And this time I don't have I guess I'll go back to the burning bowl just to give everybody a feeling that we're doing something. But I would like you to take your piece of paper now, another piece of paper, and just take a few minutes and start to write down the feeling tone of what you'd like to experience in 2020. And when I come back in and come back on, I'll just pass right on it. All right? Does that sound like a plan? I will just play that little bowl. Wow. Not an album of you just playing a little like I just need like theme music in my life, Leah. So thank you. You do a great job. Oh my, I hope that everyone was able to come up with, I ended up coming up with 4 things that are pretty ambitious, but I think this is okay. This is good. Hopefully you too have come up with lots and lots of ideas for yourselves because we deserve it. We get to do better in our lives and we deserve to experience more in our lives. And we are the blessing. We already are the blessing that we seek. So let's go within and just close out this wonderful service, which I just love this. So going in to that space that just so lovingly is right there every time we close our eyes. It's that presence that is talked about that is closer to us than our own hands and our feet. It is nearer to us than our own neck vein. It is the presence, the indwelling presence of the divine that breathes us even when we're not paying attention to it, that loves us even when we feel alone. There is no separation from us and this divine. And the more we turn to it, it turns to us. The more we settle into this knowing that we're one, the more that it can express itself through us. And the more we release any attachments to any outcomes, the more we release any need to control things, the more it can do for us in our lives. And so I just speak my word right here and right now that each and every one of us are just on our spiritual journey, just unfolding like a beautiful rose, just blossoming in the sunlight of divine truth and divine knowingness, basking in the warmth of the rays of the divine arms as it holds us. And as we evolve and just rise up from our sense of oneness, rising up from our connection, we bring that sense of oneness with us everywhere we go. We are now that loving gaze that allows others to feel okay. We are now that blessing that just shows up. And we are now the hands and the heart and the eyes of God herself. And so with this energy of oneness and this sense of belonging and lovingness that we can now spread, I just know that 2024 is just pregnant with possibilities, just ready to burst forth with all of her fruits and blessing the world. So I simply rest in the knowing that this is already unfolding because the universe always says yes to the truth about itself. And so I release my word into this truth, knowing it is already growing. These seeds are already doing its thing. And I say, thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, and Ashe. All righty. And back to Leah. Need to work this time.
Started at square one now, all the way back where I started from. And maybe in a little while I'll be a little bit closer. Maybe in another mile I'll know something I don't now. I'm back to square one. I climbed a mountain, haven't I? Found a fountain and I fell in. I spent half of my life crawling out again. Said I was looking for a better way. I wasn't waiting on nobody to set me free. That's about where you found me, reaching, wondering, seeking, sometimes floundering. But now I'm starting at square one now. I'm all the way back where I started from. And maybe in a little while I'll be a little bit closer. And maybe in another mile I'll know something I don't now. I'm back to square one. I'm getting closer, I'm getting better, I'm going higher, forever, ever. Now I'm starting at square one now. I'm all the way back where I started from. And maybe in a little while I'll be a little bit closer. Maybe in another mile I'll know something I don't now. I'm back to square one. Here we are, right back to square one. Right back to square one.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much, Leah. Oh, thank you, everyone. As we, wrap up 2023, thank you for joining us, for being faithful and supporting CSL Leesburg. Thank you so much, Charlene, for being our spiritual director. And we are so blessed. And I'm ready for the next adventure. I'm ready to say 1, 2, 3, go for 2024. So now is the time to bless the donations that are shared with us today. All right, guys, are you thinking about tax time in April? Are you thinking about what you need to do to set yourself up? Today is a great day to make any donations, and you might want to keep in mind CSL Leesburg, as we know that you do. So on the screen, it might come back. Odds are you already have a way of that works for you. Remember that we are a tithing community. We really do believe that as we give, so shall we receive. The donations that are shared with us bless everyone, those who give and those who receive. And your donation helps us to do what we do every Sunday when we bring this message and this music out to you. But it also goes to support our home organization, as well as organizations that join us in helping to create a world that works for everyone. No matter how you're giving, take it and just kind of hold it over your heart and join me in our blessing of our gifts. Here we go. Last time for 2023. The presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, say it loud and proud. Here we go, guys. I am a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. Oh, that feels so good. All right, announcements. So what's happening as we leap into 2024? Dream Study will be back on Saturday, January 13th. Join Charlene and her friends on Saturday at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And they share their dreams and they help you interpret your dreams. And it's just a great way to connect with people who are trying to figure out those messages that we receive, even when we're dreaming, when we're sleeping. And January 7th, I have it marked on my calendar. How about you? So we're going to do our vision board session. This is a great way to think about how you want to go through 2024, those things that you wrote down when Charlene was guiding you. What do you want to experience in 2024? Well, a great way to keep that intention, to not just write it down today and forget about it, is to create a vision board. So we're going to do that after our service on January 7th. So mark your calendars. It's a new calendar. Mark it down and plan to join us. All right, folks, as always, I feel that when I come here and join you, just my battery gets recharged and I'm ready to go forward. But let's do our closing affirmation after I remind you. Today is a special day. We'd love for you to hang out a little bit after service if you can. Share with us anything that you experience from the meditation, from the music, from the message, from the burning bowl ceremony. This is what we call pearls. What just resonated with you? What would you like to share from your experience today? Or just hang out with us. We talk. This is kind of our coffee hour. So if you can, please stay. And if you can't, we're going to send you off with our blessings. But first, our closing affirmation. Here we go. Give yourself a big hug because you made it for another revolution around the sun. You did it. Just give yourself some love and join me in saying, I am love. I am love. And I love it when I can hear you. Now, look at somebody who might be in the room with you, or we know that we're all connected. So just send this out to whoever you think needs it. Could be a furry companion. Silas is over there on the couch being good. Puma's upstairs being good. I like to send mine out to my children who are miles and miles away, but I know they feel this. So whoever you decide, here we go. Ready? You are love. Beautiful. And now put your hands up in the air. We're going to do a big stretch. We make a wide sweep, something that we call love sprinkles. Here we go. It's all love. It is all love. Oh, so a wholeness revolution a wholeness resolution. Thank you so much for joining us today. Happy New Year. And if you can stay, please stay. And if you have to go, we understand. You have things to do. Leah, I think you're 6 o'clock in the evening, right? You're getting closer to the countdown than we are.
Yeah.
So, however you're preparing to celebrate New Year's, we just wish you a new year filled with love and all the joy and happiness that you are entitled to, because you're wonderful. All right. Thank you for joining us. Stay if you can. That's a wrap.